My name is Jess and this is episode 15 of Knitting on Sweater Avenue. This is a podcast where I talk about what I'm currently knitting, what I've recently finished, and any new acquisitions I have. And this is going to be a pretty normal podcast, I guess, style. As I mentioned, my name's Jess. I live in Melbourne, Australia, and I've been knitting for a fair while. I started this podcast last year before, I don't know. I actually don't know when I started. 15 episodes, but I don't remember to film them all that often. So it could be like a year and a half ago, something like that. Anyway, I've got a bumper episode for you. I have only one finished object, but a bunch of new whips. I've definitely had a case of castonitis, and I have a little bit of new yarn, not that I bought this month, but that came this month. And then some really good progress on some of my whips. I feel like towards the end of the last episode, I had a few which were like at a state for me of chaos, but I've gotten most of them like past that, and now I'm flying through again. Just as I start, this is a me made. It was pretty cold when I put this on, but I might end up taking it off, in which case I have another one underneath. Look at me go. But this is the Monday sweater by Petite knit, knitted with 2 strands. One of Pasley Knit's Milky Way from their New Zealand collection, and one of Knitting for Olive Blue Tit in the Merino. And I knit this at a really loose gauge. I used a 4.5 or a 5mm needle because I was worried about running out of yarn, and then I did 2x2 ribbing on the cuffs and hem, and you can't see, but I did a split hem with a longer back. So that's what I'm wearing. As a result, I did knit the extra small, but it's got plenty of positive ease because of that looser I went up a couple of needle sizes, and so it's very nice and drapey. I ended up having more than enough yarn for that project, and it was a whole drama, but if you want to learn more about that, I'm sure they're in previous episodes. But to get started, my one and only finished object, which was pretty much finished in the last episode, is my storm sweater. Also by Petite Knit. I think I have a few pics, but I definitely have pics of it before it was finished because, as I mentioned last time, I went on holiday and I wore it with one sleeve non-finished. But now it's finished, it's blocked, and I definitely went through a bit of like a ooh-ah stage. So before I blocked it, I really liked it, it was great, and then I blocked it and I tried to make sure it didn't grow too much, but it did grow a bit, and so it's definitely on that more oversized sort of like range. This is the Storm Sweater Man by Petite Knit. I've knit it using a strand of sandesgarn double Sunday and tin silk mohair in a dark green. The color names are in the 8000s, but I'll put which specific ones they are in the description below. I knit the Storm Sweater Man pattern because that's the one I had, and I made the sleeves shorter because I tried them on and that was the length I needed. I did a 2x1 rib on the cuff, like hems and cuffs and bottoms. I sized up to a 4.5mm needle. I knit my first foray into the indie patterning world was one of the sweaters by My Favorite Things Knitwear. It was 15 or 18, the one with like rows of garter stitch and rows of ribbing, and it was easier than this in terms of it wasn't like, it was just row by row, and I found it easier. But anyway, on that one I used heavy merino and mohair from Knitting for Olive, and that was a 4.5 or a 5mm needle for the main fabric, and I liked that. And then I feel like gynt is a thicker DK, and I knit the Moby sweater on a 4mm needle for my partner, and it's actually just kind of dense. So for this one I decided, even though the pattern called for 4mm needles, I used 4.5. I'm so happy with the fabric. It's a little like it's sort of drapier, and the fit, it's cozy, so I knit an extra small, and it is plenty big enough. I definitely could have, I don't know how I would have sized down because that's the smallest size they have. I obviously could have bought the women's pattern, but I didn't want to do that. But I could have done something like just worked out how many stitches difference there are between the extra small and the small and subtracted that off or something. Did a regular bind off on the cuffs, and yeah, I feel like I don't have much more. I've obviously shown this a few times in varying states of completion, but it's worked perfectly as like a snuggly jumper with leggings and like shoes and stuff. It's nice that it's that little bit longer, like hits sort of just below the bum, and so that's really nice for feeling very snuggly, and it is nice and soft because double Sunday is very soft. Haven't managed to wear it enough to tell you about how much it's going to pill, but it's just the way it is when you have a nice cozy jumper. Often they'll do that. So that is my one and only finished object. Put that over here. And then I got a whole bunch of whips. So I'll start with this one because it's closest to me. I am actually excited. This is probably the next closest to being finished, and I suppose like this is my sock, and all I have to do is Kitchener stitch up the toe. But I am knitting 2 socks. This one I'm about to drop stitch, but I've just passed the heel flap and I'm in the middle of the gusset. And this is using the Daffodil Road boysenbery swirl self-striping sock yarn, which is 75/25 merino nylon. And I bought this at the Australian Yarn Show, and then I almost immediately cast the socks on. Oh my goodness, these are looking a bit chaotic, but that is what my cake looks like right now. I did split it in 2, but anyway, clearly as I've gotten closer to the end, it's absolutely falling apart. I am knitting, so I'm following loosely the Crazy Sock Lady socks on 9-inch circulars, but I feel like I really I'm going for my perfect sock fit. So the changes I have made: I did a German twisted cast on for the cast on, 2x2 ribbing. Then I did, I don't know, these are about 4 rows each, so let's go 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 38, so 40 row on the leg. I then did a 33, so it's 64 stitch cast on, but I took 33 of the stitches for the heel flap, which I liked having an odd number so that you can begin and end at the same point, which then means that your pickups both look really neat, I thought. I don't know if you can see like the pickup line. Normally I would have one of them would be a slip stitch edge and the other one would just be a knit edge. And then when I went to do the decreases on the gusset, I just moved one of the markers in order to account for the fact that I'd taken an extra stitch. Then going down into the foot, my ideal foot for the cast off, I normally do 82 rows on the foot from like the ankle, and then I do whatever it says in the video where you go decrease round, plain round, down until you have 16 stitches on each needle, and then I do decrease rounds one after the other until you have 10. But this time, I don't know if you can see, I have gone for an asymmetrical toe, which I have wanted to do for so long, but I just haven't ever been able to like bite the bullet and actually work out how I want to do it. So this one I found a random explanation on the internet, and I have just sort of YOLO attempted it, to be honest. What I ended up doing was 6 rounds, so 6 repeats of decreasing on one side, so I guess 12 rounds, decreasing on one side and then doing a plain round. So that's to get to here, and then I did, once I'd done 6 of those, then I did decreases of both sides and then plain round till I was down to 16 stitches, and then the same thing as before. So I am excited to see how this goes, see whether or not this, fits my foot. I don't know, it just felt like a fun thing to try in the land of socks, and now I just need to remember to do the opposite on the other foot. But I will let you know how that goes, because I've always been intrigued by, what is it called, asymmetric toes, but I've now finally done it. So yeah, more to come on those, but that is my next work in progress. I'm trying to remember which of these you've seen versus which you haven't, because at least one I cast on before the last episode, and then I completely forgot to talk about it all in the last episode, so it's going to look like I'm God, but I promise that one I had been working on for longer. But we're not there yet. So this one is next, and this is a winner that I'm finally it's like easier to show now. This is a hack of the Rhue sweater by Rebecca Clow from the Creabea and the Astrid sweater by Knitting for Olive in kinross 4-ply held double in the colour Loch Or. I am onto the sleeve because I have Kitchener stitched the hem on. So the Astrid sweater has this super groovy curved hem. I'm just going to hold it up so you can see it. Super cool curved hem. And I spent a while trying to work out how to make it, so it's knit bottom up, which is not my vibe, but I spent a while trying to work out how to make this top down, and it just wasn't really working. So I ended up just knitting it and then Kitchenering it on. You can see it's sort of bowing a little bit. I think once I block it and like sort of, if I can block it to flat, then I think I'll be able to block it flat and it'll be fabulous. You can sort of see the line, I think, easier in the camera than in person, which is good, where I've blocked it, that line there. But I'm overall pretty happy with. I Kitchener stitched it, I zhuzhed, which is the best word ever. Do you know it's spelled Z-H-U-Z-H? Just insane to me. Sorry, there's some general content for you. I really hope I'm correct on that. And so yeah, it's not perfect. I might zhuzh a bit more and I'll probably do a pretty aggressive block when I do it, but I am just hoping, only thing I'm a little worried about is the length. But the thing that I was trying to keep in mind is like, so it's got a longer back, but the side comes up like pretty high. So that was the one thing that I was like conscious of. Anyway, I think it's going to be soft and cozy, and I'm so glad that I've gotten this like curved hem thing going because it looks sick. I'm using 5mm needles, so I'm knitting the smaller size. I love a bit of take the size and just completely YOLO it. This time I did actually do a gauge swatch, and so my size the fit of it is really nice, which is good. And then it's a 2x3 rib on the bottom, so I will be continuing that when I do the hem and the cuffs. So yeah, I've picked up a sleeve, so this one's like now back to being sort of doable. For a while there it was either mid-Kitchenering or just like I was fed up with it because the Kitchenering didn't go brilliantly immediately. And so yeah, this will be a labor of love, but hoping to, yeah, this one's now back on, ready to smash. And I'm completely making up the decreases for the arms because my gauge is so different, it sort of doesn't make as much sense to follow the arms. Anyway, that's where we're at with that one. It's been fun, it really has. Now that it's going well again, I'm feeling a lot better about it. Right. I think one more whip. Let me just. One more whip that you've seen, and then, frankly, an embarrassing number that you haven't. So, the last whip that you've seen is my Midland cardigan, which similarly, I don't even know where I was in the last video. This one's definitely, I got the yarn and I immediately cast it on like that week, and then this has definitely been my like focus knitting. But I think it looks groovy as. Here it is. I have finished both sleeves. I ended up doing combination ribbing for the sleeves, so they're so tight, but I think they look really nice. And have I made any changes since last time? And I've picked up the hem for the ribbing. The main thing I've done, I don't know if I had done this last time, when I initially, you like start at one side and you knit across and then you do some short rows to shape this. Oh, this is the Midland cardigan by Laura Penrose in gynt tweed. Gynt tweed in the colour 1035. I am knitting the second size, I think, and anyway, the construction, you like, yeah, cast on the side, knit across, do short rows for this, then knit, like cast it off, knit across the back, cast on and do short rows. And my cast on was really tight, so I ended up cutting it off and binding off instead so that they were more even, and they definitely are. I don't know if you can see, well now they also have the like this hanging off them, but that made a lot of difference. So if I were to do again, I would do some sort of provisional cast on for the second side in order to have it match the first side, which is something that I apparently love to do. But yeah, this is going sick. I realized when I went to bind off the so you like cast on, I'm sorry, I've now said this so many times. When I went to bind off the inside at the other end, I realized I'd done the cast on wrong. Because I have like 3 rows of stockinette and it's meant to be just like pure garter. But I decided to make it a feature, so I did the same on the other side. And I stand by that. There's my 3 rows. And so it looks a little bit funky on the, so if you can see, it looks a little different down the side seam, but I'm totally happy. Like, I guess partly with the cool 2 stitches down the sleeve and like from the back, I think it's sort of, I could buy the fact that it's a feature, and I'm making it a feature. So that's where we're at with that. And the 2 slip stitches continues down into the hand, which is neat. So yeah, that one is just needing ribbing and then a button band, which will be a bit of a challenge, but we'll get there. We'll get there, double knit button band. I'm a little worried. So I knew that I ordered this, but I have 2 different dye lots. And that all of the first few balls, however many I had, 11 or something, were the same dye lot, and then these 2 are a different dye lot. But I didn't think 2 balls would be enough to do both the hem and the button band. So I've started the hem with the remainder of what I have of the other yarns in the first dye lot, and I'm hoping that I'll just change, like they look the same, I mean obviously, and I think it'll be fine, but I definitely wanted the button band to be all the same dye lot. So yeah, that is my last whip that you have seen. And then this next one, wait, let me put this down. This next one is sort of hilarious to me because I cast this on a similar time to the Midland and I just didn't talk about it at all. And I made heaps of progress on it. Like I'm midway through the body. Oh, this is divine. So I cast this on as this is the Cognac sweater by Atelier Castin, and I cast this on as part of the Cognac cowl, but then I didn't sort of participate in the cowl any more than that. I cast it on, I worked on it a bit. I've clearly worked on it a fair bit. I'm pretty nearly finished with the body, but I didn't finish, I didn't prioritize finishing it for the cowl because I was busy working on everything else. So this is a lovely shoulder construction. I would say relatively similar to the Leon sweater by Petite knit, if you wanted a comparison. It will have an I-cord bind off on the neckline and on the cuffs, that's the one I'm doing, and at the hem. And it's on big needles. So this is a fingering merino and mohair. These 2, let me grab them. So I'm using Isager silk mohair in the color 6. And I am using, I don't know how to show this to you. This is from Pasley Knits. This is the Earl Grey tea colorway. I love tea. I don't actually, hilariously, I don't like Earl Grey at all. I think it's foul. Not a bergamot fan. But I was like, Earl Grey is the same color as English breakfast, which is the tea I drink by far the most. It's got pinks. I don't know how to get to the colors, sort of washing it out a bit, but it's sort of beigey with like pinks and creams and that kind of thing. And I think it looks lovely with this mohair. So like, yeah, do you see the color variation? It's like browns and lights. I'm very excited, and it's so soft because I think I have used the Isager silk. I think I have used the Isager silk mohair before, but it is deliciously soft. And it is the Earl Grey tea is it superwash or non-superwash? I'm not sure. I assumed it was superwash, but then I think I maybe bought it after I had decided that I was a non-superwash gal. So that is how this is going, which is brilliantly, because I've been absolutely smashing through all my knits. And it uses big needles. That's what I was going to say earlier. This is a 6mm needle for the body, like for the main bits, and then I presume it'll be a smaller one for the I-cord, but I actually don't know because I haven't checked. And it makes a really light drapey fabric, as you would expect, with just a merino and a mohair, like a 4-ply and a mohair. Fingering a mohair, that's the other way to say it. But I think it's lovely. And yeah, I cast it on as part of the cowl, didn't continue working on it, but that's okay. I would like to finish more of my whips than I cast on, but sometimes you just get excited about starting new stuff, to be honest. And I'm okay with that. I am definitely getting progress on all my whips anyway. So we'll get there in the end. Alright, now for new whips that are actually new whips since we last spoke. I'm going to show them in the order I cast them on, but that is not the order of the most progress they've got. So this is the one I cast on first. I'm in the middle of the row because I like to live on the edge. But I'll show it to you. It is this delicious brown colour. Like, look at that. That is divine. And this is going to be the Road Sweater by Ozetta. This is the first project by Ozetta I have ever knit, but it's got this lovely garter stitch. I'm going through a bit of a garter stitch phase. A lovely garter stitch edging on the at the back. And I am knitting it using the Earthy DK from Explorer Knits and Fibres in the colour Tawny. That I bought from them. So far I've almost followed the pattern to a T. They only have you do the garter stitch like on the shoulder bits, but I did it all the way across because I wanted that to be all the way across. And when you're knitting your own stuff, that's what you get to do. But I finished the short rows and now I'm just doing the back panel. Not a lot of progress. This one got a little bit stymied. Is that the right word? Don't know. This one got a little bit sidetracked because I decided I was going to cast on the project for my partner. So, have I talked about everything for that one? Yeah, I think that's all it is for that one. So, last but not least on my whips, I think that's all the meaningful ones that have had any progress. Oh, I've dropped some stitches. Look at me go. Here we go. This is the Petite knit zipper sweater. Got a few Petite knit patterns here, but not a lot. And this was the one that he decided he wanted. I offered him a few others, but the first jumper I knit for him, I decided the one I wanted to knit and I bought the yarn. And finally, it smells okay now. We've washed it like 5 times. But it's a bit itchy, scratchy, and it's a bit tight. Anyway, for this one, he picked the yarn, like we went to a shop and he picked it. And this is where we're at. So, zipper sweater by Petite Knit. I have done the collar, I've done the short rows, and I'm now doing the raglan shaping. I am using these little mushroom stitch markers, which I bought at the Australian Yarn Show. You can buy them just online, but they are super cute. I don't know how to wait. You can do it. Come on. Come on. There you go. There's the other 2. So this is 4 little different kinds of mushroom. And yeah, just working back and forth as you have to do. Again, because of the yarn, this is Cascade 220 in like a charcoal-y black colour that we, and this is the colour, wait, let me just get the colour first. 4002 is the colour. And we bought this in person from a shop in Canberra called The Makery because we were in Canberra and I wanted to use Cascade 220 for him. Because I knew that it was, I've actually never used it, but my mum has, and it's pretty soft, but also kind of nice and thick. It's like I would describe it, it's like in peer gynt, like thickness-esque, which is good when you're knitting for men, because they are bigger sometimes and longer, and they don't wear cropped jumpers. Not that I think they should wear cropped jumpers, but just means that with a bigger wool, then I get slightly less work, basically. And as a result, similarly, I used a 3.5mm needle for the collar and a 4.5 for the body. And the pattern calls for a 3 and 4. I don't know why the pattern calls for a 3 on the collar, but I didn't have one when I was casting on. Needs must. I am totally happy with the fabric. He's a pretty warm guy. He doesn't wear a lot of sweaters, so I think something which will be a little lighter is better. In fact, I think this is the zipper sweater light man is the one that I bought. And I'm very nervous about the zipper situation. I do have a question. If you've knit the zipper sweater, this yarn is not good for showing. But are my edge stitches just going to be visible? Because I don't like that very much if that's the case. I felt like I could have done with a bit more warning on that front. But I also don't know how they wouldn't be visible. But like, I don't know. Like, because if you were picking up stitches for like something else, they'd like fold under. So I feel like if I were to do this again, I'd want to do like some sort of like double knit edging and then have, I don't know how you do it though. It's true. Anyway, so I don't know. It looks okay. And it's in a dark yarn, so I guess for this is pretty easy. But yeah, I am knitting the extra small, but I've got a bunch of barber cords. I'm going to get him to try it on because I don't want it to be too small, which is what the Moby sweater is almost. Like he fits in, his sizing would put him for the small, but I must have knit it kind of tight. But I also don't want it to be too big, which is what happened with the Storm sweater. But luckily with the Raglan, I can just get him to try it on and make it just right, like Goldilocks. Anyway, so that is my zipper sweater man. Is this going to work at all? This feels like a terrible idea. But it's, wow. Hello, Count Dracula. Okay, with the hair and all. The collar is nice and cozy. And I think this is going to be lush. I think it's going to be good. I've now probably taken it off the needles. That's going to go super well. Hold up. Blech. How? What's the damage? What's the damage? Are we alright? Oh dear. Oh yeah. Oh. That seems alright. Alright. Here we have the consequences of my own actions. Oh. There you go. Hair a bit mental. Does it seem okay? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So yes, that is my last whip that I have to show you. I clearly have abandoned a few in progress of these guys, and my goal, I do have a little bit of yarn to show you, and I forgot to grab one. I'll do that. But my goal is to try and cool it on the casting on for now. Cool it on the buying yarn, which I already like. I was not buying yarn, and then we went to the Australian Yarn Show and I bought some yarn, and then I'm back to being pretty chill. We're heading to Europe in September and I would like to buy some yarn while I'm there, so I think I can avoid buying yarn between now and then, pretty much. I definitely have enough yarn for sure, but I'm not including buying yarn to use yarn. But I do have a few yarn acquisitions, except for one that I forgot, so let me grab one. Okay, I'm back. Well, sick. So, I got yarn delivered. I didn't buy it. Well, I obviously did buy it, but I bought it months ago, and it's from Paisley Knits, who, can you tell I'm a little obsessed? It's not the most convenient yarn shop to shop at, given I'm from Australia, but, you know, live fast, die young. The first one I got was a sock set, and I think I must have bought this without knowing what colour it was, because I was surprised when it came. Or I think I had, anyway. This is the sock set I got. This is the Secret History book club sock set, which I just loved the idea of. I read the Secret History with like a book club of some of my work friends, and it was definitely a book that I wouldn't have read without them. Anyway, so it's like a nice, like, it's like moodies and pinks, and it's got a lovely little mini. It is 85.15 and it's a 120 grams, so 120. Cute little socks. I definitely need to knit the sock yarns that I have, particularly given I keep casting on socks with remainder sock yarns rather than like, I should just get through them all and then work out what I'm going to do with all the like 20 grams left. And last but not least, same order, but I got 3 balls skeins. I didn't get 3, but these are the 3 colours. I'm going to knit a stripy sweater with these 3. Now this is the Taylor Swift collection in Fortnight Champagne Problems and my favourite, I Know Places by Paisley Knits in their Salty Sock, which is fingering weight non-superwash merino. And I just like, picture this. I reckon like style wise, I don't know if I'll use the patterns, but like Leon sweater or Arrow sweater by Petite Knit, but like construction wise. And then I've got more of the sort of champagne color, and I'm gonna do like, it'll be like 2 rows 1 row, or like something like that, and then like, is that making sense? There'll be like little stripes. Anyway, I think that it will be fabulous. It's pretty low on my cast on list right now, partly because I want to finish all my whips, don't we all? But when I was looking at the colors, I was like, that's what I want. Like it, I think that'll look sick. I'm hoping that these two, you'll be able to see the difference between them. Like obviously they're different colors, but I don't know if one next to the other, it'll look like nothing, but then I guess it'll just look like an orange stripy sweater. So that's my goal. That's what I'm excited about. And that is everything I have for you today. So yeah, I hope you're having a good day. I really wanted to film this before Easter because I'm going away for Easter. I'll have lots of time for knitting, and I'm hoping to smash out a few of these projects. And then I didn't want to like come back and be like, I've finished 100 projects that you've never seen. So hopefully I can get through a few of these, get a few of my whips out of the unfinished pile, and just like settle a bit. You know, I'd love to just sort of knit in a more casual way rather than a little frantically, but I'm really enjoying doing all these projects, and like I just like looking at yarn, and I get to look at yarn all day, which is lovely. I don't get to look at yarn all day, I have to go to work, but you know, it all sits around me all the time. My poor partner, he puts up with a lot, but I think a few sweaters here and there make him feel pretty good about that, so that's really good. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. I will hopefully film probably in a couple of weeks, do another podcast. But yeah, let me know what you've been knitting on, and I will talk to you later. Bye.